MinkLife Motivation Live. There we go. Do you get lost and stumbling when you are trying to market yourself? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So get ready to have some fun. I was so excited to hang out with you, Bob, that I forgot the name of the show.
I did notice that you were also stumbled over the name and the question, as well
I
as your own
know. I
marketing,
was
right?
like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but I'm going to hang out with Bob for the next 30 or 40 minutes, so it's okay. So, for the people that may not know how cool you are, Bob Taylor is an amazing copywriter and he writes in your voice and makes you look awesome. I mean, just check out my website if you want to know how awesome Bob makes me look. But anyway, we are talking about building a marketing workflow and how it is to, market yourself, because sometimes it's easier to market other people than ourselves. So it's going to be Bob and I and you. So make sure that you leave your comments in the questions. And if you agree with something we say, or you have a question for one of us, just put it in the comments and we will join in with you. All right, Bob, let's get started. I've got a question for you. Are you ready?
I am. Well, I hope I am.
Why are you passionate about helping people with workflows and campaigns through your zone of genius?
Well, the great thing about this question, Peggy, is that my zone of genius is marketing, right? So it's copywriting. So from that perspective, I like helping people who don't have that zone of genius by using my zone of genius. You said it earlier on. It can be difficult to market yourself. But when you have the tools and when you know how to market yourself properly and how to do it effectively, you actually get you get into a flow of being able to create campaigns and sequences that do promote yourself. So that's what I do as a copywriter. I'm passionate about helping you promote your services and your products, because whatever it is you're offering, it can help people. But when you don't market yourself effectively, you're kind of doing a disservice by not getting your service in front of people. Does that answer the question? I think it did.
It does, and I love that. It's like if you have this thing that's going to help people, but they don't know about it, then you're doing them a disservice because you got the answer to a problem they're having, but you're not telling them that you have that answer. So they're out there struggling and the answer is right there.
But also, you could be telling them, but by telling them the wrong way, you're not getting the message across. So they're not seeing. It's just bypassing them completely. And that's what effective marketing does.
Very good point, because a lot of times we shout from the mountaintops, but the words we're saying, we don't take the time to understand the language that our ideal clients are speaking. So we're saying all these things and they're like, yeah, what does that have to do with me or my problem? So I love that. So for me, I think for my zone of genius is helping people realize that their marketing, their campaign, everything starts with their image, right? Their headshot, their profile picture, the way that they use their images. And I love to show people how powerful they are, because a lot of people don't realize the power they have in themselves. And I love to bring that out and show them how to use that to reach their ideal clients, to help spread their message. So for me, I think my favorite thing is to watch people that didn't realize that I'm not photogenic, or I don't, it's not important. I'm just going to put my company logo up there, but to let them see that actually it's all about them. It's all about them having an amazing first impression.
I love that, Peggy. I love that. It's like your first impression is the image, and my first impression is that it's that headline, it's the hook. You and me should do a show on this together.
We should. It's weird, right?
Join our 2 zones of genius. And
Because I laugh whenever Amy is on here and Caitlin. We're like, the 4 of us should just form a company. Bob, Caitlin, Amy, and I. We should just make our own inclusive marketing website, branding, the whole thing all together. That's so funny. All right. Well, I think we're ready for the next question. All right. Bob, why are brand materials important for professionals to thrive in their life and business?
I mean, you kind of said a little bit for this answer in your last answer. Your brand materials are everything. Every touch point that you have with a prospect or a lead, that is brand materials, whether it's your website, whether it's an image, whether it's a social media post. So it's really important that is saying what it needs to say to A, represent you, and B, show people how using your service is going to help them improve their lives. And in turn, by helping them improve their lives, you're going to help improve your own life and improve your own business. That's how we get that growth going in our business, when we help others. So getting the brand materials right, as I say, from website to email to social media posts, whatever it might be, is really, really important. And a lot of people don't realize just how easy, I say easy, and I know that people cringe when I say that. It's easy for me, right? Because I'm a writer. Hey, how easy it is to write your own brand materials. It doesn't have to be difficult. And I this is something that I'm blessed with. I never get writer's block. You've probably all heard of writer's block. You look at a blank page and you've got no idea to write. So many people get that, but when you know where to start, that's not a problem. And then you have the other side of the spectrum, which I'm going to say is Peggy with 12 pages of word vomit, right? That she gave me once, where you just write and write and write and write and write, and you don't know how to whittle it down to what is effective and what works. But when you understand that, or you use a professional that can help you get that message correct, that's what's going to really help you thrive in life and business, because you get the message right. You say the right thing at the right time, in the right place, to the right person.
Exactly. And he's not exaggerating. I really did give him 12 pages of single typed word vomit. I'm like, here's everything I've ever said about my product. And I don't know how he did it, but he read all of it, or maybe he just threw it away and was like, I've heard her say something. I don't know what he did. But I pity the person that had to read all of that. But anyway, but it's saying the right thing to the right people, and knowing, we covered that in the last time, knowing what your ideal clients are saying, how they're saying it, what their specific pain points are, and how to actually, to reach them. And Bob taught, I'm just going to brag about Bob all day. Bob taught a course in my program about brand materials. And I thought, like, I know a lot about brand materials. Like, I've been doing this for a while. But when I tell you, like, the way that he presents things is so digestible. And I think that's the key, is you always need to be thinking of your brand materials, how people are going to digest them. I mean, he gave little, like, you won a bean, because his company is Coffee Bean, and you won 12 yellow beans, and and we know logically that when you win a little coin, a little digital coin, it's really nothing, but it makes us feel like, oh, we did it. Keep learning and keep going and keep, and when you incorporate that into all of your brand materials, getting people excited, what's next? What's next? And that's actually the purpose that we have brand materials, so that they see our logo and they get excited. What are they doing? They see a video that we put out. What are they saying? And, we should be getting their attention and grabbing them. I think that's the point of it. And I don't know if I answered the question, but that's the answer I'm sticking with.
But there's also, you just made me think of something else. There's also something else that can make a lot of people give up with their brand materials. I didn't teach this in your little section, but we can add it as a bonus right here. And I'll give you a little bit of an example of what happened to me. So this is copywriter that I have followed since I became a copywriter. I don't know how many people here are going to know my journey, but I haven't always been a copywriter. So when I first became a copywriter, there was this copywriter that I followed. She spoke with, well, she still does. She speaks with great tone of voice. I just love reading what she writes. So for me, she was always like, oh wow, one day I'll be just like her. we all have someone we look up to, right?
Right.
But she's been selling copywriting courses, copywriting, all sorts for a really long time, but it was always outside of my price range. And so I took cheaper courses at the beginning, and I've taken courses as I go through. But I was on her email list for 3 years before I made a purchase. But I was loyally following her and listening to everything she was saying, absorbing all the things she was teaching me. But 3 years it took to convert me, right? And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. We have an email list, we have followers on social media, and nothing's happening. Why? I'm putting these posts out and no one's responding, no one's clicking on it, no one's signing up for this. Even when I'm giving away stuff for free, no one's taking it. But just remember that one person that did, or those 2 people that did, that's 2 people that may have been on your list for a year, a few months, and haven't reacted. And now they're taking action because they've been listening to everything you've said. And it's that accumulation of everything that you've said over the time that's led to the journey. Sorry, that's created the journey that's led to them taking action.
And that is so true. And it's frustrating. It's easy to give up with marketing and your branding materials because it feels like I don't know if anybody's listening. I did a podcast for 7 years and I thought, I'm going to just quit doing this. Nobody's really listening. Nobody's engaging. And then I was out in public and somebody's like, hey, you're that lady that does that podcast. And I was like, yeah, you could comment, like is what I wanted to say. But it was, and I don't know, I think it was about 18 years ago, I advertised in a magazine. And I bought this like big contract. I think I was in this magazine for 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and not one client from it, not one single client from it. And I was like, well, that's it. I'm never going to do anything like that again. And it was about 4 or 5 years after I stopped advertising in that, a person called me and hired me for this extremely large job that well paid for my advertising and more. And he said, when he came in, he was like, I've had this, he had a cutout of the ad. He's like, I've had this on my file cabinet, magnet to my file cabinet for years. I always knew I would need you. But it was just now time. And so when I get frustrated in my marketing and with my materials and am I doing the right thing, I always remember that one client. And who knows, other people may have come to me that they saw me through that. They just didn't mention it, So we really never know because, they see us here and they see us here and they see us here. And then all of a sudden, well, actually that person's everywhere. And, oh, I really like what they're saying about this. And I really like, Bob's my hero. One day when I grow up, I'm going to be just like Bob, So, okay, my producer is saying it's time for us to go. Keep going. All right. How has creating campaigns and workflows been a problem for you in the past, and how did you overcome it?
So funny enough, and we talked about this just before the show went live a little bit. Funny enough, I help people create campaigns. I help people create workflows for what they sell, but doing it for yourself it does feel so different, right? It's more difficult to come up with, and I taught it in your program as well, the that session, and I teach it everywhere I talk. It's like, understand your customer, know your customer. And my biggest issue for the longest time was that when I started being a copywriter, sure, I know how to copyright, sure, I know how to sell, but the whole running of the business side of it was kind of difficult for me. And it just getting customers from different niches, different industries. Trying to understand my ideal client was really tough. It was really, really difficult for such a long time. I was like, I don't know who my ideal client is. For me, it was just like, my ideal client is anyone who's prepared to pay me. And that's not good, right? Because then I'm just out there advertising to everyone. And when you advertise to everyone, you sell to no one. So my best advice from that story with the problem I had and how I overcame it was actually just, okay, well, who do I enjoy working with? Who are my favorite people? What are they, and what do they all have in common? Maybe it might be an industry, maybe it might be a niche, maybe it could be something completely different. You don't always have to niche down, as they say. You do you on that, but just find what is a common denominator with all of the people that you enjoy working with, and base your ideal client on that. And if that's still a problem, and it still doesn't work from that, pick your favorite client at that particular time. Like, for example, when Peggy gave me a video review, my first video review I ever received, for me, she was the best client in the world, my favorite client ever. And I could have just based my ideal client and built a persona around Peggy. I could have been, okay, well, let's sell to Peggy, right? How do I sell to another Peggy out there? And that just helps you kind of create a campaign for Peggy, right? Does that make sense, what I just said?
It does, because, as a photographer, I used to say anybody that has a face is my ideal client, but it's not true, because I don't want to work with everyone with a face. Like, I don't get along with everyone, with people. As charming as I am, as charming as I think I am, there are actually people that find me annoying. I know it's crazy, but it happens. And I definitely don't want to be stuck in my studio with them for an hour or 2 hours and we're not like gelling, because then their images are going to suck and they are not going to give me a good review like I gave you, because they're not going to get those results. So it's the same thing. I really have to think about, who do I want to work with? Who can I actually help? It's not even about who, because I really can't help everybody, because I'm not a fit for everybody. Another photographer may be better for another personality or another need. So who can I actually help? What do I have to actually offer this person, that's going to help them? Because if I help them, they're going to write me that amazing review because you helped me. I was like mind blown that you could go through all the stuff that, because I wrote the stuff that I sent you, so I knew how terrible it was, and you came back with this wizard of magic, amazing magical words that made me sound like I had over a third grade education. It was like and you have to take sometimes, my producer saying she's just really on me today. All right, Monica. So I'm dyslexic, so I see things big sometimes, and I will connect things that other people maybe not naturally connect, which is actually a superpower. But the downside of that is I do 12 pages of word vomit, right? It's hard for me to focus in on what is the most important, because I can see how it connects here and I can see how it connects here. And oh, what about that? That actually is important too. So that's been my struggle, is really being able to figure out what that specific thing is that I need to deal with. And so having somebody that can listen to all of my word vomit and say, now let's talk about what is a common thread in all of that, and pick that out. And I think that's been how I overcame it, is listening to other people and surrounding myself with people that are smarter than me. If you listen to this show, I'm always quoting Ron Stauffer, my dad, and he used to always say, don't be afraid to hang out with people smarter than you, because they're going to make you look good. And I think that's how I overcame that, is hanging out with people that are smarter than me and make me look good. So yeah, definitely. All right. Who should you ask for help when you are trying to solve your problems with workflows? Who should you ask, Bob?
I mean, is this time for shameless self-plugging, or?
Yes, absolutely. It absolutely is.
Well, if you've listened so far to everything Peggy said, then everything Peggy said.
Or wait, where are you?
Other
Wherever
side.
he is.
Yeah, everything Peggy said. If you need help understanding that, how to get that common thread into one, there's something in copywriting and in marketing that is, it's kind of like a golden rule, and it's called the rule of one, or one big idea, whichever way you want to call it. And it's basically what you just said, Peggy. It's picking that one big idea that's going to strike emotion in the reader, or the viewer, whatever the content is, and actually get them to take action. So work with someone who knows how to do that for you, right? If you don't know how to do that yourself, work with someone who can do that. And if you can't afford to work with someone who can do that for you, then never underestimate the power of testing, right? Because we were talking about this earlier when we said about giving up, right? People give up because they don't test. Let me tell you, every single time I put out a piece of content, whether it be a social media post or an email or a landing page, whatever it might be, I don't just write some content and put it up. I write the content and then I go through it and think, okay, what did I do here? Maybe different to what I've done in the past, or what have I done that's the same as what I've done in the past? And then I look at how it goes. So, for example, for the last week or so, I've been promoting a live webinar that I'm doing this week. And I've been writing very long posts because I've just been copying and pasting from email, which FYI is a little cheap for reusing content. Right? If you write an email, copy and paste it over to social. And I wanted to see, what about if I write a really short post? What happens if I write a really short post for this? So I did that, and I did it yesterday. So it's only been a day so far, so it's maybe not enough time yet to test it. But so far it has way less impressions and way less reactions than my longer posts. So what does that tell me about my audience, right? So don't just keep on putting content out there. Think about what you're doing. Is it shorter? How did I start it? Did I begin with a question? Did I begin with a shocking statement? Was the image nicer on this one? Was the image black? Was it green? Yeah. Start thinking about what differences in the content that actually does have some movement or that explodes compared to the content that really doesn't do anything. Start understanding how you can improve your own things that you put out there through testing.
I love that. And I think that that's the most important thing, is to ask your audience. I mean, you don't ask them by saying, "Hey, what do you want me to do?" But you ask them by doing something and watching how they react. Do something else and watch how they react. And I also think it's important that you have someone around you, like I said before, that's done this before, that's smarter than you, and listen to them. Don't take everything on your own. Like, hey, I've got to do all of this. Why do you have to do all of this? There's no great person ever in history that did everything themselves. So I'm guilty of, like, I'll just do it. I'll just do it. And so that's kind of probably been the lesson I've learned over the last couple of years is, you're really good at this. Here, can you help me with this? You're excellent at this. Hey, Bob, do you want to write some words for me? Things like that. So look around you and listen to the people and what they say.
Absolutely, and I'll pick up on something that you said in the video review that you wrote for me. You used the word vomit, and I think I said the video review that you wrote for me, the one that you recorded for me, is what I meant to say. You said the word vomit, and I'd never used that terminology with my clients before, but I did. I used it when I was talking to a potential client, and I said, "Do you ever feel like you're just vomiting words on a page?" And they got it, and it was like, ah. Because that's how my clients speak, right? That's what they understand. Just because I'd never thought it, I'd never understood it. But just stealing your words, and it's ethical stealing, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I gave the word master a word. I love it. Of course, the word was vomit, but hey, you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. All right, Bob, this is our speed round. One tip to build your brand by focusing on brand materials.
Ooh, Just one. We've given so many throughout
Just
this
one.
entire thing, but just one. Can it be another shameless plug? So,
It should be.
have somewhere to go to get inspired, to create the brand materials that you want. And I just this month released a membership, which Peggy is a member of, which gives you resources, tools, templates, monthly training, monthly 1 hour, an hour and a half write with me sessions for accountability to get your stuff done. It's just a place for you to go, just to focus on your brand materials. So find something. It doesn't have to be my membership. I don't want to just shameless plug this entire podcast, but find somewhere that you can find the inspiration to get started. The biggest problem with creating brand materials, if you're going to do it for yourself, is not knowing where to start, right? Not knowing what the heck do I do? I was talking to somebody else the other day, and she said that she came back from holiday, and so she hadn't posted on social media for 2 weeks, and she sat in front of her computer for an hour and a half just thinking, what can I say? Because I just don't want to come back and promote immediately. What can I say? Where do I even start? And that's a 1.5 hours wasted, when you could just find that in 5 minutes, if you've got the right place to go to get the inspiration. So that's what I'd say. That's my one tip. Find somewhere to get inspiration to get started.
I love that. I think my one tip is be authentic. You are the only you out there. There may be a ton of photographers, there may be a ton of copywriters, but you are the only you. So when you bring the you factor to your brand materials and bring a little vulnerability along with that, give people something to connect to, you are going to see so much more engagement and so much more conversion, because people buy people. They buy experiences. They do not buy products and services. So allow them to see you. Be authentic in that.
Couldn't agree more.
Awesome. It's time for announcements. Now, not that we haven't plugged you enough, Bob, but you have something very exciting going on tomorrow. I will let you tell people about it.
So yeah, I've got a free live webinar for anybody. I've forgotten the ET time. Let me check. At 12 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, which is just it's a 15-minute webinar. I'm trying something completely new. Here's me being authentic. Look, I've never done this before. This is completely fresh for me. The 15-minute webinar, because I don't know if you've ever found that you sign up for these free trainings or webinars, and they're 60 to 90 minutes long, and you get to the end and you're like, I learned like 2 things, and all they did was try to sell to me. I get frustrated by that. So I don't want to create that. I want to give you a reason to show up, right? So 15 minutes of just packing the punches with 5 sales tips for people who hate selling. And there are so many people out there that, outside of the marketing world, that think that marketing and sales is icky, that it's sleazy, and you're just going to sound like that car salesman every single time you try to sell yourself. Or when you're on the sales call, what do I say? How do I move towards a sale outside of talking about how I can help? Well, 5 sales tips tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be live. It's not recorded. I am actually going to be there just like now. 15 minutes of tips. There's the link on the screen right now.
And I will be there. I will be there in the audience. I don't know if it's audience participation or if we have to sit quiet, but I'll be there. And also look at his membership. I tried really hard to be the first person to sign up for this membership, because he did a really good job marketing it. But he's in the UK and I'm in the US, so I don't know if I actually was, but I should have been in the first handful of people that signed up. Anyway, if you want to get to know more about how you can use your images, your headshots, your images in your branding, book a call with me. You can go to my calendar link, or you can just go to Headshots by Peggy and click Let's Chat and book a time and see if I can help you make impactful, marketable images so that you can make your headshot one of the biggest parts of your marketing strategy. That sounded cheesy, right? I tried really hard, Bob. All right, now let's talk about, I tried to make that sound cheesy. Let's give this to Monica and talk about the community announcements.
All right. Well, thank you for throwing it to me, Peggy. This is the time where we talk about what's happening around Mingo, MinkLife's online community. We always have announcements for you. And the first things first is that you can join us tomorrow at 2 p.m. PT or Wednesdays at 9 a.m. to join the conversation. Feel free to put your comments in the chat and we will put them up on the screen. But if you maybe are thinking, wow, I'm on the go during that time, guess what? Got something for you too. That's right. You can listen on the go. We have also turned this show into a podcast, so you can find it at all the places, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, and anywhere else that your podcasts are. You can go ahead and subscribe and listen to us while you're on the go. If you'd like to be on the show and sitting up there on the screen talking about all of the things that get you motivated, keep you inspired, help you gain knowledge and keep you connected, then you definitely want to go to minklifemotivation.com/live and sign up to be on the show. Tomorrow's show, we will have we will actually have Colleen Struby. And Colleen Struby is going to help you boost your influence with our special guest as well. So that's all for our announcements. Back to you, Peggy.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with Bob and I. I don't know why you wouldn't, because Bob and I are two of the coolest people I know, but I'm just saying.
We're the cool cats.
We're the cool cats. Anyways, come back tomorrow. Thank you. We'll see you guys soon.